hosters and most welcomed guests to our meeting today. Today I'd like to give you a summary of the trip I took back in the summer of 2016. Philmont is a high adventure base operated by the Boy Scouts of America. And as my introduction indicated, I have chosen to be a leader within the Boy Scout organization. And as a result, I got to travel down to the Sangre de Cristo range of the Rockies in New Mexico. And that is an area at that Scout Ranch of 220 square miles. And the elevation at the base camp is 6,500, and it goes up pretty high. So you can see us way up here in the corner, right? And drove down there, took a road trip. It was fun on the bus. This was a hiking trek, as they say. And here, I can, okay, very good. Hiking trek that involved 8 youth and 4 adults. And you'll see all of our youth lined up there, and there's a picture of myself and my son. How he got taller than me, I'm not sure. We had to carry all our gear on our back for the whole hiking trek, and we would have 3 days of food with us. And the packs were 45, 50 pounds or so. Wildlife we'd see along the way. We'd see kind of camouflage, right? The lizard there, and beautiful wildflowers and cactus. And there was also, you know, some white-tailed deer. So oh yeah, and also maybe for those that are squeamish in the room, now the accommodations when you're hiking along, obviously you have, besides eating and sleeping, you also have to use the facilities. They had 2 types. They had the deluxe kind, which was called the Red Roof Inn. As you can see, it had a nice metal roof. On the side wall, it would have holders to actually hold toilet paper and so forth, and that was quite deluxe and nice when you came across those. Otherwise, they offered another one, which was referred to as the pilot co-pilot. And the benefit of that one is that 2, actually. 1, you could bring a friend along and have a conversation. But obviously, you're out in the wilderness, and these often had a spectacular view. So you could enjoy a view while you were going about your business. Now the views and the vistas were really quite spectacular. Valleys, and far off hills and mountain ranges, rock formations. It was just really, really beautiful to go out hiking, and this was wilderness. You know, there are trails, but there's, you know, not a lot of things in between. And including not any rails, so this drops off right behind us. I was a little nervous taking that picture, but absolutely spectacular, very beautiful. We'll come back to this particular mountaintop here, so keep that in mind for later. But there were nice, beautiful, high meadow areas, again, with some of the nature in there. It was very nice. So along the way, there were some staffed camps. And so these camps would have people that worked. They would sometimes have themes of different periods in time, the settlers and the pioneers and so forth. They would offer their re-provisioning for our food. So as we finished our food, we would get more food supplies to carry and also drop off garbage. One of the nice things was you'd make a pack line and get the pack off your back, which was very much appreciated. They would sometimes have little stores. You could buy a piece of candy or some kind of treat thing. Root beer was a very popular thing. So the adult activities amounted to pretty much, yeah, just hanging out and relaxing as much as you could and getting your tired feet and legs up. The boys engaged in some activities. You probably recognize some team building things, leading each other through different courses. But not to be mistaken, one of their favorite events also was to take a nap if they could whenever there was some downtime or free time. So we're back to this hilltop, and it's referred to as Baldy Mountain. And as you can see, as you get higher and higher, you lose the vegetation, and it's also very rocky and quite steep. that was quite a challenge. We left, I think, got up at 5:30, left camp at 6:30, and we made it to the top by 9:30. We were the first crew to the top. It was very exhilarating, very, I don't know, very dramatic at 12,441 feet. I expected to be more maybe oxygen deprived or some effects, but since this was our 4th day of hiking, it didn't seem to affect any of us. One little thing here, one little creature, right? Little striped gopher. It was surprising that he was up there. It's just rock, there's nothing, right? But he would come out whenever anybody pulled out food, and he was right there. So he survived on crumbs and leftovers from people eating lunch on top. Got to throw snowballs in July. That's a first for me, so I guess check that off the bucket list.
Right.
And then after a day of hiking, we had our campsite to set up our tents. Those are 2-people tents, by the way. And then afterwards, we would heat up some water, cook our food, maybe some dehydrated mix for soup or so forth. Every evening, we had to put our smellables, so that's any kind of food that we still had, any kind of toothpaste or lotions or anything with an odor, deodorant, in a bag and hang it from a tree so that the bears wouldn't be attracted. And then always, because this was a boy-led trek, we'd go over the map for the next day. And for the most part, we didn't really get lost at all. Well, at the end, we hiked 92 miles in 11 days, went to the top of 3 different summits. We had to clean up our equipment and take a much welcome shower in a nice shower house. So I certainly would say it was a trip of a lifetime for me. Here's a picture, 11 days without shaving. He didn't start clean shaven, so he had a head start, but there that's how rough I look after 11 days. And on top of one of the summits there. So if you do have a chance to volunteer and participate with your children, I highly recommend it because you can have the opportunity to go on some fantastic trips. Thank you.